So the other night, I woke up and I wanted to share with you a dream that I had. So basically, in this dream, I was sitting in a newsroom. And in the newsroom, I was given a piece of paper. And I was sitting next to a couple other people in the newsroom. And we were looking out windows. And we were located at the Circle Center Mall across the street, like on the second story, looking out the window. And I was handed a piece of paper. When I was handed just a white piece of paper, I heard, "They will not cease firing." So then all of a sudden, I'm taken down just like instantly in the dream. I'm no more sitting in the newsroom, and I'm sitting on like the ground. And I'm looking at the side in the middle of the street, and I see a crop duster. It's a crop duster airplane. And on the airplane, I see someone driving it. And on each side, there were people wearing beige military uniforms on top of the wings. And they had rifles and they were pointing them. And so then I kept thinking to myself as it was about to land on the ground, it was kind of just hovering 1 foot off the ground. And I thought, they really want to land, but they're really looking, the ones with the firearm rifles are really looking over at the sidewalk. So then I'm instantly like back up in the newsroom, and I see the sidewalk that the men with the rifles were looking at and they were holding. And there started to be people lining up on the sidewalk, but they were lining up at the edge of the sidewalk. And the thing that stood out to me in the middle of this experience is the people that were lining up on the edge of the sidewalk were not scared. And they would, start forming a line. But then there was a break in the line. And behind the line were like 2 to 3 people in like a little huddle. And there were a couple little huddles behind the one line. And then where there was a break, one man was coming out of the mall, and he was told to come onto the street and surrender to the gentleman with the firearms. And he began to go very, very slow. And he went so slow that he said, "Just take me already." And then they did. And when they did, it was more brutal than I was expecting to see. He was kind of approaching them, and they just twisted him. They didn't care how he landed and put a bag over his head. And then I was handed another piece of white paper, and I heard another audible, and it said, "This is the least amount of casualties that we have seen in such an attack as this." Now, here's what I believe the interpretation of this is. Circle Center, if you take a circle and you go right to the center of a circle with a dot in the center is a target. So I feel that, and it was a mall, so Circle Center Mall, because this was a mall. So I believe that maybe malls are a target. So then the plane that I saw was a crop duster. And the thing with crop dusters is that they fly below the radar. So I believe that this is an attack where they're flying below the radar. And, I saw the attack. I saw people wearing beige military uniforms, and I saw the rifles. Now, when I went down, or I was taken down in this experience of this dream, and I'm there on the ground, and I could see, I think I was intentionally meant to see that they wanted to get their feet on the ground, and that's why it was hovering like in the dreams. I don't believe that a crop duster can hover for 1 foot off the ground, but in the dream, this is to give us a message, right? So it was hovering 1 foot off the ground, meaning they want to get their feet on the ground, but they couldn't because they kept looking at the people lining up on the sidewalk. So then when I was taken back up in experience and they were looking at the people lined up on the sidewalk, I believe the reason they were not afraid and the reason that they were lining up to the very edge of the sidewalk is the fact that they are the front line prayer warriors. And I believe the frontline prayer warriors are slowing them down. That's why the man said, just take me already, because it was going very, very slow. So it was letting me know that it was slowed down, letting me know that they couldn't get their feet on the ground because they kept looking at the people lined up on the sidewalk, which I believe the prayers of God's children are preventing them from getting their feet on the ground. But at the same time, in the dream, it eventually happened. So one of the other key points is that there was a break in the front of the line. So there's a gap. I think God would call his children to stand in the gap and pray against this attack in our country on the malls or whatever it could be. But that's all that I was shown was the Circle Center Mall. Now, does that mean actually the Circle Center Mall? I can't say that. I would take the interpretation as you have a circle, and in the center of a circle is a target, and then mall. So I think malls are a target, but who's to say? All I can say, the message for me as a person of prayer would be for other prayer warriors to start lining up and praying. And I think the 2 to 3 people huddling in the groups are the prayer huddles, are the behind the scene people that are praying. So I would be encouraged that the last message was, this is the least amount of casualties for such an attack as this. But also keep in mind, there was an attack. So the Bible is very clear. We wrestle not flesh and blood, but principality, wickedness in high places. But in reality, if we want to say we're wrestling demons or demonic forces, they use people. It's not like people are having a ninja fight with something in the air that they can't see. The devil or demons use people. And unfortunately, they use enemies to attack our wonderful country. So I pray that this attack doesn't happen. So what I really think the message for this is for prayer warriors to start lining up, the frontline prayer warriors to stand in the gap and to pray against any attack upon our city, your city, the malls, our country. We love our country and we want to pray for God's protection and shield over it. All right. God bless you.